This is the Inspection Pros Podcast, where we break down everything you need to know to grow a successful home inspection company. Join host Jake as we get insider knowledge from the industry's best on how to take your business to the next level.
Welcome back to the Inspection Pros Podcast. Today, we have Shawn Rossbach joining us once again. Shawn had been on this podcast to discuss a fantastic book before. Shawn, thank you for joining us again. I'm very excited actually to announce today that Shawn will be joining us for an educational series bi-monthly, where we are going to break down some home inspection business topics and really get into how you can apply these topics to your business, to grow your business and all that. So Shawn, thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely. And I'm doing better this time than last time. Last time I was in a white shirt with unbrushed hair. This time I brushed my hair, I got ready, put a nice shirt on. No pants, but still got a nice shirt on. That's what counts.
Oh, right? Absolutely. Last time when we broke down the E-Myth book, we had a fantastic time, and that was a very educational episode. So I figured, why not make this more of a regular thing and get Shawn, who's an expert in the industry, who's done this before in his own business, and get him to share his insights with our audience on a more regular basis and in a more structured format. So thank you for your interest.
No, absolutely. I love to be here. And I think last time we had so much fun, we went over like an hour or something, like we just kept talking about it. So I'm here to help people and share my experiences. And if somebody can, avoid a pothole or make a better choice at the fork in the road, then that is, the best I could hope for. And I let people know, listen, you have my phone number, throw me a text. I'm here to be a conversation. If I don't get to you, I'm probably busy. Don't bother calling. I just don't answer my phone, but I do text back and I can set up appointments at times. Legitimately, my phone number is 954-612-0220. Throw me a text. My email is Shawn@maxhomeinspections.com, SHAWN@maxhomeinspections.com with an S. Just throw me an email, throw me a text. If I don't get to you, just give me some time. I'll get back to you, and then we'll figure it out. I'm either sleeping or on a call already. But I love helping people. Throw me whatever it is, and I can talk about it. You want to get in business, you're already in business. You want somebody to celebrate your victories with. There's nothing that makes me more excited than to hear somebody was successful and did something. I am not interested in arguing with how I did something or why would I do that. That's a dumb mistake. Trust me, I already know that. I am married already, right? No, it's super fun, and I'm happy to share my experiences, what I've done, and the craziness, and the impossibilities. And that's what we're here for, right?
Absolutely, yes. Thank you. This is what the podcast is all about. And I appreciate it. Shawn is actually an open book, so please reach out to him if you have the opportunity or have any questions. And so now you might be wondering, all right, why? Why should I listen to Shawn? I haven't heard the E-Myth episode yet, so I don't know if he knows what he's talking about yet. So today, what we're going to do is an intro episode, basically, for this educational series. We're going to give you the origin story of Shawn and how he started his business, the story of Max Home Inspections, so that then we understand, where all of this is coming from, as Shawn is helping us to understand the industry and the business side of the industry a little more moving forward. So, Shawn, where does your story start? Where does the story of Max Home Inspections really begin?
Well, on my side, it really starts at the last time I had a job. And I worked for a really interesting IT company called iPower Tech out of Boca. And they were fun to work with, and I was very independent there and had tons of fun. In fact, I didn't see my boss for like a year and a half after they hired me, because I was so independent, and it was text once in a while. That one time he was at one of the job sites, and we walked by each other, and we turned around and go, wait a minute, I think I know you. So, I've always been independent, and people trust me, and I get stuff done. So whatever I say I'm going to do, I'm going to do. And that was my life. And I was just, I became unhappy at the job. There was, working in IT, a lot of people are unhappy, and then they blame me for their problems. And I was very frustrated with it, and I was looking for some new opportunities. I had a friend at the time that goes, hey, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to start a business. Would you be interested in doing something? I've never done that before. Why not? I say yes to almost everything. So I was like, sure, like, what is this what are we gonna do here? He goes, well, what's your skill set? And I'm like, well, here's what I can do. And he goes, well, here's my skill set. And I'm like, all right, well, what's your idea with this? He goes, I'm not sure, but, I think we can kind of roll this together and provide IT services based on, we both know two ends of the spectrum. I could do, setups of networks and stuff, and he can do, computer programming and building software solutions. And I used to work for law firms that were 200, 300 seat in multiple counties, and I'd set up all the letter sequences that nobody knows what they mean. I would do all of that stuff. Worked in some really big building with armed security guards just to get in because like where the servers are for AT&T and Sprint and stuff. That was super fun. Freezing buildings, but super fun. And it's like no cameras or photography allowed here, and I'm running around here like taking pictures. What is this? What is that? It was just a really cool experience. So he goes, yeah, let's just get started. And I go, let's do it. And I go, when do you want to start? He goes, let's start right away. I'm like, great. I'll quit my job and like we'll do this. And right as I'm having that conversation, I had just started dating Sylvia, who's my wife now, and we had just met, and I think we went on like a date or two, and it was like our third date. And she's like, what's new? And I'm like, I'm going to quit my job. That's the way to start a relationship. Oh, yeah. Hey, I'm quitting my job. And she's like, cool. And I was like, really? Like, what's up? And she's like, no, that's awesome. Go for it. All right. Well, now I got encouraging words. My family, on the other hand, was like, you're going to lose your shirt and no good will come of this. Yeah. I get it, by the way. That makes sense. At the time, I was like, you don't know what you're talking about. So we started this IT company. I quit. I called the next day. All right, I quit. When are we going to do this? Let's meet up and let's go over the plan. Oh, I'm not quitting my job. What do you mean you're not quitting your job? Yeah, well, I need to keep earning a paycheck. I'm like, me too. I thought we were going to go find out how to earn some money here. I'm like, I already quit. And, he's unhappy. He's not taking me back. So I got to figure something out. So that friendship ended pretty quick. And I was on my own. And so Sylvia actually had a little bit of business background. Our first date a couple of weeks prior, we were having dinner at our first date, which is Lime, which is one of my favorite restaurants, just because the date with her. And she gets a phone call, and it was, I didn't know at the time, but it was her mom, and she like did this close. And I was like, what's going on here? So she ended up getting, the credit card, processing it, doing all this stuff for a sale. Her family does a lot of rainbow vacuum cleaner sales. And by the way, if you don't know what these are $2,000 vacuums, which I had never heard of before I met her. And it's a big deal. It's a very big, in like the Spanish community, like it's a big deal. And apparently there's also some other things that are similar to this, but the a $2,000 vacuum was pretty high considering I grew up with like the Sears $70 special.
Yeah.
And, well, anyways, so she does this, and I'm like, so I start asking her questions like, hey, I'm starting a business. You know about sales. What do I do here with resources? And my brother was getting into magic at the time and trying to figure out business too. So he sent me a bunch of business books. So I was like, well, I guess I just need to figure out what's going on here. So I started reading a lot, which I would encourage everyone to read. I have a bookshelf. I see you got a bookshelf here. Tons of books. And are half of those recommended, or is that Harry Potter back there?
There's definitely Harry Potter back there amongst a lot of fantasy for recreation, but a lot of those are recommended books.
I love it.
Business books as well.
Yeah. I mean, you just end up collecting them, right? Like there's so many. They're like, oh, you got to read this. And I got tons that I'm like, I have to read and I haven't got to it yet. It just happens. And I have some really, really good ones. I mean, Harry Potter's on the shelf too. Like who doesn't know that?
And the best part, right. Absolutely. The best part about once you start getting into books and passing along recommendations is you start getting gifted books. So a few of those are gifted as well, which I love.
Yeah, I love that. A couple times I've gifted books and I'm like, I could never find the book again. It's always frustrating, right? So her and I start talking, and I get motivated and excited, which is never a good idea. And then I'm out there, making business cards and stuff with terrible logos. I think my first logo had like a bald man on there and Computer MD or whatever. It was fun. And I think the first year, that calendar year, I think we made like $800.
So maybe not worth quitting your job just yet.
Yeah, I know. And no, it was pretty difficult. About halfway through the year, we were expecting a baby. So that was extra fun. And we're like, all right, well, I got to figure this stuff out. Now, thank goodness that I had saved a good substantial amount of money to live on, because there's no way I could have done it without some savings to start. And she had graduated and she had started working at Burger King corporate. She had this really cool job where she would work as a franchisee like inspector. So she would take this big book of information, walk around Burger Kings that are owned by, multimillionaires, and tell them they're doing things wrong.
Yeah.
And I actually got to go with her to a couple of them, and I'm sitting in the back and I'm watching it and I'm like cracking up. These old rich men are very upset of having this young pretty girl tell them that they are just wrong. And she knows her stuff. Man, she is smart and beautiful. And I'm just sitting there going, holy crap. Like, she has this book memorized, regulation this, and you're making the hamburgers wrong, and this is dirty. And it was super cool. So that's the kind of person she is. She's very by the book and knows the SOPs, and it's got to be written down or it's not a real thing. And I'm the complete opposite. I show up to the party going, what's this party for? What are we doing? What are we doing today? I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And just totally different how we live our life, right? And it's frustrating sometimes and super fun other times. So we're out here, and she eventually comes to me and goes, well, I'm helping you full time. I'm working full time. You got to pick one. And, she actually just got an opportunity I think she was hired to move to like Jacksonville area. And I'm like, well, that's not going to work. So I was like, you have to quit and we have to figure this out. I have some cash. We'll be okay for a while. We'll figure this out. And then, we found out about being pregnant, and it was a good time. So then we are going through, and at some point near the end of the first year, we made $800, which I don't know if you know this, that's not a lot of money.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Just so, nowadays it's like, 8 tanks of gas for the year, but back then it filled up, 16. So we're going through this, and somebody comes and goes, can you build me a website? And I was like, hell yeah, I can build a website. Never in my life built a website. I have no clue what a website is or the back end. But I need money, and I'm saying yes to everything. And, the guy's expectation wasn't much because he didn't ask me any questions other than, can you? Sure, I can do it. I didn't say it was going to be good. And I go, what are you budgeting for? He's like, I don't know. How much will you do it for? I'm like, $300? Yeah, done. Let's do it. Hey, man, I just made $300.
Wow. Yeah.
It's like 40% of my annual revenue in one shot.
That's great.
So I'm like, well, I got to figure this out. And I'm like, well, I'm an idiot and don't know this, and it's going to take way too long to figure this out. So how do I do it? I'm going to hire somebody who knows what they're doing. So I went on the internet. I found somebody to do it for like $50. You went back and forth a couple times. My total out-of-pocket cost was $50. This guy was happy. I made $250 in my pocket. Hey, wait a second. I'm onto something here. This continued for a while. We are going to get to home inspections. I know it might seem a little off, but this is really how it started. So we're doing this for a while, and we start building up to some pretty big projects. We were getting like $10,000 projects by the end of the second year. Max was alive. We're going around. We're doing stuff. We're shaking hands and mingling, and we're building sites for all sorts of cool stuff. BMW dealerships and some sort of golf thing, an electrician thing. We had a website that we did for student loan repair forgiveness, which was like a really big project. And some of these, like, we actually didn't make much money on, but like it was a cool project to do to show off. So I was whatever, like, what's those things? Like, let me get the opportunity and then I can show it off and build from there. I'm always willing to put that sweat equity in. And, hey, I'll do it for free in the end if I got that experience out of it, because that experience is worth so much.
And you can build up the portfolio.
You build up the portfolio. So the experience I got after the first year was most people that run small businesses are terrible. And by terrible, they don't pay their bills. And by don't pay their bills, they don't make any money, so they can't pay me. So then we got to this point where we had all these receivables, which I didn't know the word existed until then either. And I had a lot of goodwill. You tell me you're going to do something, why would I doubt you? Apparently, that's not how the world works. And I've been reminded repeatedly from my wife that, stop trusting everybody and, waiting for them to pay you. And like, but they told me they're going to pay me. So here we are, like, not having a good time. And I'm just like, what? I'm supposed to go yell at these people to give me money? Like, I'm not that guy. I'm not going out there with a baseball bat. What am I supposed to do? And as it turns out, it's never worth getting attorneys involved because the only people who make money are the attorneys. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So, right. So we had a couple things, and, it kind of went sour at that point because, we need cash. People owe us. I mean, we were owed so much money. like on it, it wasn't like $800 anymore. This was like 30 grand, 40 grand worth of receivables for a month. I mean, we had staff. We had like 6 people working for us at that point. Who can do this? We were doing social media and stuff. Most of our contracts were no actual contract, just, hey, it's X dollars a month, 300 a month. We're going to do this, this, and this. So I had to get to the point when people were like 3 months behind, I would turn off their websites. And then they would be pissed because now their business has no website. So they're already making no money. They're doing things. I'm like, but you didn't pay your service. And I kept it up for the promise you're going to pay me. So anyways, that went bad really quick. We ended up at the conclusion of that, we ended up at about $30,000 negative. We burnt through our savings getting there. We paid staff. I mean, we had to pay them. There's no way not to pay people, right? Like, I'm not that other person. So I paid them. We took on tons of credit card debt. I mean, you could not be more, effed at that point. And then our landlord sold our house because we were on a month-to-month contract with that too. And they're like, hey, somebody offered me a ton of money.
Wow.
I'm trying to think. I'm pretty sure at that point it was just before Max was born. So it had to be like, was it January, February, in that range. So we lost our house, 40 grand in debt. And we're like, what do we do? And this is going south pretty quick. And Sylvia, we were not married at the time. Sylvia and I are expecting a baby. And I'm like, she's not going to hang around very much longer. 40 grand in debt, no house. So we moved into my mom's house. By the way, always the best thing you could ever do in your life, right? Living with your parents is always super fun, as an adult with expecting a child. So, and we were, my mom doesn't have my stuff that I grew up with there. So there was an air mattress, which, by the way, one day popped while we were sleeping and we fell to the floor.
No.
This is not good. I can laugh about it now, but it was not a good time in our life. We actually went to this event for home inspections. And we were doing marketing for a lot of home inspectors, and it went very well. And the reason we were there is one of our random clients, like we had random clients. We had everything from preschools to a home inspector to the BMW guy. Like if you had cash falling out of your pocket and you wanted to give it to me so I could do something for you, which I can do, or I could hire people to do it. Great. You're my perfect client. Exactly what I was looking for. You got cash. So this home inspector we worked for, his name was Mitchell Fineglass. A really cool guy. This guy, he was on like the board of everything. He was responsible for taking Nathan's Hot Dogs public. This guy has so many cool stories. Every time I talk to him, I'm like, holy crap, I just learned something. He knew the Wolf of Wall Street, knew him. Apparently he did not want to hang out with him, but knew him. And all that stuff. I mean, you've seen the movie. I don't know if it's a cool movie. I don't know if you want to hang out with him. So, but he knows all these people, and he goes on and on. He tells me a story. And this guy, he was like our most successful client. We kind of looked at it, and this was kind of, the timeline's not perfect here, so this is going back a little bit. So he's out there, and he's kicking butt. So we've had him for a while. We've known him for a while. And we're just looking at him what did he do? Well, he listened to every random idea that we had and did most of them. But at the basic, he answered his phone every time, no matter what. In an attic, if he was scuba diving, whatever this guy is doing, he's answering his phone. Now, I know this seems like, oh yeah, I can always get my phone, but I'll get to that in a second. So, he's answering his phone. We're doing Google AdWords. We're spending money. And this guy, he's a single man op. He was doing 300,000, just under 300. I think it was like 250 that second year we worked with him. And most of that, I mean, he's a, charismatic guy and goes out there and friendly. People love this guy. But it was a mixture of what he put in and what we put in. And we saw this. We're like, we're going to target home inspectors. We went to a couple home inspector events across the country. We ended up in San Diego and stuff, and I think Vegas, and then Texas. Wow. And in Texas, we ran into this thing called Millionaire Inspector Community with Mike Crow. I actually met him at the San Diego one. We've seen him a couple times. And he invited us to a show, which, I mean, yeah, we were a vendor. We paid for it. So obviously he wants us there to pay for it. I always liked Mike Crow. So we kind of talked to him a while. We go there, and he gave us some free bonuses and a couple extra days. We didn't pay for it. And I'm like, hey, man, we're strapped here. He's like, no, I see your product. We did it for free for him to show. And he's like, hey, it's beta test. We showed some people. And, we did that for a while. And the year went by, so we're back there, and we're at his event, and I'm like, man, these people are standing up, these inspectors, and they're like, I run $1 million company. What? Listen, I made $800 last year. This year, I did pretty good, but now I'm in 30 grand in debt. So we're sitting here at this event. We just lost our house. We're 30 grand in debt and more. We're finding credit cards to pay credit cards with the lowest interest just to push this problem off so we can figure out how to buy, a burger or some chicken nuggets for the next couple days to figure this out. And we're out there, and these, company after company. I'm $1 million home inspection company. And just, you're like, what's going on here? And then there was this one that's like, I'm a $6 million home inspection company, that Chad Heck guy. Man. And I'm just like, all right, well, I need new pants now, and I got to figure this stuff out. So I'm sitting there, and we're mingling with people. I ran into one of these business coaches that run in his operation. And I'm like, man, I need to do something with my life, and I don't know what it is, and it hasn't worked out, and things have not gone the way I wanted it to. And by the way, I don't believe in everything happens for a reason, which is another talking point, which is interesting to bring up in a minute. So he's going, just start asking me questions as a good business coach does, right? I'm like, you've talked to the business coaches. They start asking you questions, and then sometimes you're really frustrated because you don't know how to answer them. Yeah. And then he's like, so what do you want to do with your life? And I'm like, that's why I came to you. Isn't that what you're supposed to help me with? Like, please solve my problems, right? So I'm talking to this guy, and I think his name is Malcolm. And yeah, his name is Malcolm. He wore a cowboy hat. He's a really nice guy out of Texas. He starts asking me questions. And I'm like, well, which way do I go? Do I go this way or do I go that way? He's like, where do you want to end up? And I'm like, I don't know. And he starts quoting Alice in Wonderland. Well, if you don't know, which way, where you want to end up, what difference does it make where you go? What choice you make here? And I go, all right, so I really need to figure this out. I really need to figure out what it is that I want to do, where I want to end up. Am I okay with, having employees of that scale? Am I okay scaling back and just having Sylvie and I just raw talent going out there and working our ass off, which again, totally fine. And we could probably figure out how to build that up. So we could do that. And then after some conversations, I'm like, I want to figure out how not to work and have everyone else work for me. I mean, right? That's the dream. It's never true, but that's always the dream. You never stop working. So, with that in mind, I go, okay. So we start going out there, and we're leaving the show going, we're going to do this. We're going to build a home inspection company. And I mean, it was an incredible choice because I have never done a home inspection. Matter of fact, I didn't know home inspections existed the year prior before I met this group of home inspectors that were clients. Like, I didn't know it was a thing. Even, by the way, most of my family's in real estate, so I probably should have known it's a thing, but I never ask questions. I just show up to the party. So anyway, so I'm there, and I'm trying to figure, I'm like, okay, well, how do we do it? Well, the 3 Days of Secret run by Mike Crow was how to run a home inspection company. This could not be a better time to have this epiphany. So we're there running around going, I need the materials. How do I sign up for this? What do I do with this? How do I do an inspection? Asking these questions. So, all right, well, it turns out it's not terribly difficult. You go out there and you get a license. What does it take to get a license? Well, the regulation is pretty lax. You got to go out there and study and take a test. Well, I can study and take a test. I have done that most of my life. Okay, so let's go do that. And that was, so I'm going to say it was like February. Yeah, because his event was like mid-February. So by April, I got my license. And I think we should probably take a break, right? And then I'll come back and explain what happened after I got my license.
Absolutely. So we're going to take a moment to hear a quick word from our sponsor, Pair Payments, and we'll be right back.
The home inspection industry is highly competitive, and you need an edge to stay on top. You certainly can't afford to give profit away for no reason. But what if I told you credit card processors may be overcharging you and robbing you of profits you've worked hard to earn? It's time to put an end to being overcharged for payment processing. It's time to take back your profits. That's why we've put together a free report, How to Avoid Being Overcharged by Your Payment Processor. Head over to takebackyourprofits.com, download the report, and put an end to being overcharged for credit card processing. You've worked hard for your sales, and you deserve to keep it. What are you waiting for? Go to takebackyourprofits.com and download your report today.
Thanks, Pair Payments, for sponsoring us on this podcast. I appreciate them. I'll actually talk about them later. They're a big part of our story more recently. So I just got my license in April, And right before that, we had met with our first inspector client, Mitch. I'm trying to think of what his company was originally called. Precision Home Inspectors, something like that. And I talked to him like, hey, Sylvie and I are going to start this home inspection business. You know, we're not trying to directly compete against you, but we got to do something with our life. This is our idea. He goes, awesome. Good luck. I want nothing to do with that. It's not a problem. He goes, please don't stop my marketing. And I go, oh, no problem at all. Like, I don't need to stop your marketing. Like, it doesn't conflict. The cool thing about the marketing we did is there's so much opportunity that we would market for people in our own territory. It doesn't matter. And that's one of the things that ties in as you go, is people are always scared of us. Like, hey, we got really big really quickly. But I'm just like, as soon as people realize that I'm friendly, approachable, and you know they're going to talk to us, I am literally friends with almost every competitor within 30 miles of me. I mean, honestly, across the country at this point. But it's so much fun to be their friend and talk about ideas and complain about the same things, right?
Oh, yeah.
But the things we complain about is not the normal complaints. It's, you know, hey, you know, I'm down in sales 3%, or I only went up 15% instead of the 20 that I tried, right? Those are our complaints. So anyways, we get our license and we're on our own. So we do, the first month we do like 13 or 14 inspections. I can go check, but you know, amazing. Yeah. By the end of that month, there was more cash in my hand that I had seen in forever. All right, like forever. So 400, that's like $5,000.
Yeah.
Which, keep in mind, we were 30 something in debt, which is not a fun thing to have. And the previous year we made $800. So it was life changing. And I'm like, and I think we could do more than this. Considering our other guy that we were working with as the marketing side was doing like 200 something, I'm like, man, we make like $1,000 a month on this guy. He does 300. I need a little more money. Like, that's one of the things that like started adding up. I'm like, there's an opportunity here. But I mean, it was hard work. Sylvia's going out there and she's driving to offices, doing the candy bowl routine from the Big Bang Marketing, the micro deal, which worked. And I mean, our conversations, when she's out there in that car the first day, she's sending me texts. She's like, this is ridiculous. I'm about to go into a real estate office with a candy bowl. And I was like, better you than me. And she called me like a few minutes later. She's like, they're in love with me. And I'm like, yeah, well, you're gorgeous, of course. And like, no, they're excited somebody came in to talk to them and brought them chocolate and all this stuff. And I was like, really? And she's like, by the way, I booked you for a presentation. You're going to go speak to them. I'm like, what am I speaking to them about? Like, I don't know. You'll figure it out. Okay. I mean, that's me. I'll do it. So no problem. We kind of planned like what we're going to talk about a little bit, but it was all from the hip. And that's how we started. And then next thing you know, our phone was ringing. It's funny, it ties back. We wrote a book for marketing for home inspectors called Off the Hook, the definitive guide to getting more phone calls than you ever thought possible. This is still on Amazon. I think it's like $4. I've sold like 12 copies. I can't believe anyone's ever bought it, but still, you know, if you buy it, awesome. It's super fun. It's totally a sales pitch for me to do marketing for you. But if you can learn something from it, I mean, there's legitimate work in there. I do not do the marketing for people anymore. And so, you know, don't bother calling the number in there. You can text me. I'll tell you what you need to do. It's free, the advice. I just don't do it for people. So anyway, so we're out there and we start doing 13 and like a month goes by. And as it turns out, I refunded the first inspection I did because I didn't inspect the sink long enough. So it was clogged and it was easier to refund the guy's money. The guy knew it, by the way. He's like, yeah, I saw you didn't inspect the sink, so I want my money back. And like we fought it a little bit. I'm like, forget it, just take your money. It's easier to pay the money back than get in an argument and deal with that.
Yeah.
That led us into some really cool opportunities where we worked with RWS as a warranty vendor because honestly, early on, like I was very inexperienced and we were learning. So there's plenty of things that went to the warranty company that they were a big help for us. So RWS was a big help. And I would call them like, hey, what do I do about this? How do I handle this? This person's upset. This person's happy. Like, I don't know how to deal with any of it. So a couple months go by and we're definitely on the rise. We're definitely doing more inspections. It was like 13. Actually, I'd like to give you some accurate numbers here. Let me tell you how the first month, like the first couple months went. I think it's like a really cool portion. Hopefully this loads. All right, let me go here. Reports and is it inspections? All right, I'm going to pull it up.
In the meantime, I'm checking out Off the Hook, the definitive guide to getting more phone calls. I didn't know that you had this book out, so I might have to check this out. It's actually, if anyone's interested, if you have Kindle Unlimited, you can read it for free.
It's worth the $4.
Oh, yeah.
I actually don't remember what I wrote in it anymore. I wrote that myself. Like I didn't, like a lot of people use ghostwriters, but I don't like ghostwriters. So I wrote it myself. So it's very thin. It's a quick read. And at least at minimum, it's going to have ideas of things that you can throw into your business. And we were doing that and they were doing pretty good. So April, we did 14. I'm sorry, I said 13. 14. We did 14 in April. This is 2016. So 2016, we did 14. In May, we did 48. So you can see the trajectory. In June, we did 70. And all of a sudden, I'm like, holy crap. Like by May, I'm like, I don't know what to do anymore. This is more money than I know what to do with. This, like already, like I did 40. I'm like, I don't know what to do. In May, I hired my brother, which by the way, is always the worst choice you can ever make. Which is the second time I hired him. The first time he also quit. The second time, by June, he quit. / I should have fired him anyways. And then I had to go back and redo like 30 inspections for people on top of the new ones that were coming in. July comes around, 126 inspections out.
Wow.
Yes. Like this happened fast. Why? Because we were out there and I don't have anything else to do. So her and I were out there, both of us were out there bringing candy bowls, which by the way, I was never a fan of bringing the candy bowls. I just want to show up, talk to people, talk at people, and like run away as fast as possible before they can ask me questions. And that was our method. So we're doing 126 inspections in July. That's 3 months of running. I mean, that's busy. And my brother had just quit like right as June ended. And I was out there doing 126 inspections that month, plus redoing like the 30 that he did that were not acceptable. Mm-hmm. We've made up since then, so it's all good.
Great.
And but we definitely did not talk for a while. So July's happening. I'm at an inspection, which I can't tell you. I remember what the house looks like, but I got a call from Mitch's wife, and I could barely understand her. She was definitely in tears, and I'm like, well, what's going on? At this point, we've been friends with him for 3 years, 2017. Yeah, maybe 3 years at that point.
Wow.
You become friends with whoever you're working with. I become friends with, Dave and Alyssa at Pear just because, hey, they're our vendor. We talk to them. There's things that go on. So we're friends. I get this call and it's not good. He's in the hospital. Something happened. We need to discontinue marketing services. And I was like, hey, where are you? We're in the hospital here, and like, hey, I'll be there in 30 minutes. I'll wrap up my inspection. I can't tell you I was doing a great job at that point because he's my friend still. Yeah. So I come down there. Remember, we're still doing marketing for him. He's a competitor to us, but it doesn't matter. When we get there and I see him, and I'm like, this is not good. I mean, this is not good. And I'm like, this is a bad day. And I'm telling her, I'm like, look, I haven't really talked to him in a couple months about this, but we're doing a lot of work right now. I'm capable of handling your husband's, Mitch's workload. He was really busy at the time too. And like, I'll figure it out and I'll send you guys a check just so you have income coming in, because I know that he was the one supporting them at the time. I think she also may have worked. I think she worked at a law firm, but when you go from 2 incomes down to, 1, and she's going to be hanging at the hospital. So she's on PTO maybe if she has it. But either way, I'm like, look, I can help you guys. Give me the cell phone. You obviously have known me. I've known her for a while too. And as soon as he wakes up, we'll figure it out, and I'll either give him back the phone number or we'll keep writing you checks. I didn't think he was waking up. So I was like, I'll write you checks forever based upon the current business that comes in. We can easily track it. All the numbers were in a system called CallRail, which I highly recommend because it can track what your marketing is doing, where is it coming from. So we could aggregate it really easy. I walked out of there with a business that was already established as phone number. It was a friend of mine too. And then we also lost the client because we stopped getting money from the business that was feeding us too. We were getting some money from some residual clients. So we go from 126, and then the next month we're at 140. And then by the end of August, he wakes up and gives me a call and is like, hey, we should talk. Great, let's come in. In that time, by the way, the next day after I got his phone, I get a call from this very angry guy who's telling me I'm stealing someone's business. I'm like, what are you talking about? Turns out he had an employee that no one knew about His name was Stuart, who, by the way, is the nicest guy ever. After he worked for us for years. And I was like, look, I don't know who you are, so I don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, just meet me for lunch somewhere. Let's figure this out. I'm not stealing anything from anyone. I'm writing them a check. By the way, I need help, so you're the best person who can help me. I can't say he was the best inspector, but man, do people love this guy. And you know what? I love this guy too. He's just the nicest guy. So we talk for a while and we work it out. He becomes an employee of Max Home Inspections, replacing my brother and easing the workload on me a little bit. So we're out there and we're working. Mitch wakes up, gives me a call, and Mitch cannot sit still ever. So, as almost much as he died, he's up and, finally he's at his house and he's like, I cannot watch any more Oprah. Pick me up and drive me around. I just want to see somebody doing an inspection, even if I sit in the car. No problem, We're friends, come with me. He had a hard time getting around, wasn't mobile too much, but he got better. By October, he was walking around with me doing inspections, and I was teaching him the system. By the end of the first year, we did 800 and something. It doesn't aggregate here. 880.
Wow.
And I was pissed because my goal for my first year in business was 1,000. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm like, I need 1,000 inspections.
Round right? Number.
Right. And then I'm going to see if I can pull up my other reports, quarters, years. So I'm out to do 1,000 and I'm going to check my number. I think it was 880.
And how did you set that goal real quick while you're looking?
I pulled it out of a hat. I just thought 1,000 sounded really good.
Yeah. Sometimes that's all it is, right?
Yeah. And my next year goal was 5,000 inspections, which I'm checking now. I did 4,953. Wait, no, that's 2018. I'm sorry. The one under that, it doesn't show. It only goes back to 2018. Oh, that's a shame. My next goal was basically $1 million in business, which it works out to around $1 million. And we didn't hit it. We were just shy of it. So we were like 300,000, just under $1 million. And for 2018, we hit 2 million in sales, which is 4,953 inspections. But I was still pissed because I wanted 5,000. So I would have added, a couple more. So anyways, so we're out there and we're doing inspections and we're growing. And it's like, man, we're busy. We ended up going, okay, what do we want? Well, we need to start hiring people and getting this in order. And by the way, we're still at my mom's house.
Oh, wow. I forgot about that.
We forgot about that, right? We're still at my mom's house. We hired a couple employees to work in the office, which was the bedroom I grew up in. Yeah. We moved into my other brother's room who moved out to college, Ryan. And we're working out of my mom's house. My mom is not happy about this. My mom is very much like, there's people in my house, and I cannot believe we got by with this. Mm-hmm. I go, Mom, if we don't do this, I don't have any money, so you're gonna live with me forever, and I don't want to be here forever. So
and you're all
just give me a little bit of time. Yeah. Like let me get this up and running. I'm like, I can't afford an office. I'm still paying back some debts. I need some time. We went through a couple of really crazy people at my mom's house. I don't know if there's a better way to siphon out crazy people before they work for you, but like crazy. Man, I don't want to say any names against people, but man, that one lady was crazy. Like schizophrenic crazy.
Oh no.
Like, who are we dealing with today?
Oh.
And we still needed them to answer the phone. Like we needed help. So you kind of just I'll take it. So we're out there and we're at my mom's house and suddenly there's 4 people working out of that bedroom. And it's like, oh my God, there's a lot happening here. We start getting some money and we get an opportunity to buy a house. So in that first year, we saved for a lot and my mom wanted us out, of course.
Oh, I'm sure.
So within 1 year, we actually put an offer on a house. My mom actually helped us get the house because she had the cash to buy it and we bought it back from her. There was no other way we were going to get this house. We don't qualify for the mortgage. We didn't have the W-2s anymore. And so we're here. We're working at my mom's house. And one day my mom's like, no one can come back to my house. And I was like, look, I need, 4 more weeks till we move in because otherwise I don't have a business. I don't have any money and I can't pay you for the house you just bought. So give us 4 weeks. Then we move into the house and my daughter's bedroom used to be our office. And that lasted for 6 months because by then, we were just nonstop. So we grew, we hired tons of, we had 3 marketing reps nonstop from that second year. We had like 8 inspectors by the end of that. Once it's like for every $1 million, you need like 6 inspectors, and we push ourselves hard. It was like maybe 4 of us doing almost $1 million. So I would do like 7 a day.
Wow.
And by the way, it's absolutely impossible. You know, you can argue with me. You couldn't do that. You're absolutely right. I could not do it, but I did, and it's impossible. And I would leave the house at 5 a.m. I would get home at like midnight. I did what I had to do because I had to do it, and there was no other option. And that's it. You know, there's no other option. I'm going to do what I have to do, and that's just how it is. As impossible as it is. And trust me, that conversation was on the phone several times. Like, Sylvia, like, I can't do that. That's 2 jobs at the same time, and they're not located next to each other. Like, that's a drive. And we did some creative stuff like, you're going to go and make it look like you're working, even though this is like your second day on the job, but at least they think something's happening. I'm going to finish this job, which I'll be done here in 30 minutes, make sure everyone's happy. I'll go there and I'll just work twice as fast to get caught up, and we'll just leapfrog a little bit so we can get caught up. So I did that stuff until eventually, like, I managed to train somebody who was able to do something. Like, oh, thank God. And the next person, I was training 2 or 3 guys at the same time. I mean, it was a circus at some of these places. I was like, you take a picture of that. You take a picture of that. You go under there and take that picture. I was just directing, air traffic control here. And somehow I managed to train these people, because anytime I was in the car with them, I would just drill them. What's this? What's this? What's this? How does the warranties work? How does this work? What number do they call? What number do you give when it's your cell phone? Just nonstop. Like, there was no such thing as not working. Yeah. And we built this just, really amazing team that we kept outgrowing, which is probably a good topic to have in there. We would outgrow the team members, which sucks because I really like these people. Yeah. But you'd outgrow them because, hey, we're really busy today, but now you want to do something new. And anytime you do something new in a business, the old guard says, I don't want to do that. Mm-hmm. And you go, all right, well, we're going to do this. So you either do this or I'll find people to do this. And it's nothing mean, but this has to get done. We have to get better. I have bills to pay. I have now, 13 families that rely on their income stream from this business, between mine, which, pretty selfish, so it's pretty important to me, and the other people around me that I really care about, making sure that they can get their money and go home, which I was in 30 grand in debt before because I paid my dues and paid my bills and made sure the people around me were taken care of. So I'm like, I'm not letting that happen. And then Mitch started doing inspections again. He recovered and that became fun. And, we figured out the system. And the way we figured it out was, what is the most efficient? And this is, it's funny. It's like evolution. It's not always pretty, but because of efficiency, things happen. So, we did some weird things. Like, we had this reports department, which we still have, which is, the technology is slowly making them less and less needed because it's being automated. But like, inspectors have to do reports when they get home, which, by the way, is the worst part of the job, because you work your ass off all day in 1,000,000-degree temperatures and out in the sun and out in the rain and, swimming through the backyard of mud to get to the electrical panel, whatever, we do what we got to do. Inspectors work really hard. Mm-hmm. And then you get home and you're like, I just want to have dinner at, midnight, and I couldn't see my family today, and I'm doing this. And now all the pictures I took and the reports and the concerns, I have to make sure everything's correct. And in Florida, we have these insurance reports, which are written by attorneys. So they're really confusing. I mean, eventually, after thousands of them, you figure it out. And I was doing reports. And then Stuart, one of my favorite inspectors, he just could not do it. He couldn't work on a computer. He could barely work the cell phone and take the pictures and the tablets. And, we bought him. He broke so many tablets. We went to the mall and bought him one of those child fluffy foam cases around the tablet. It's clearly for a child with a face on it and everything.
Nerf foam?
Yeah, the foam one. And I think we bought it in pink for him. Oh, no. Because he lost it more than once. And so, you look, evolution is not pretty. Yeah. This is how is this going to work? Yeah. By the way, he loved that pink foam little cushion thing for a child that would we up and it would hold his hand and he couldn't lose it. And then we bought a tether so it couldn't go more than 3 feet from him. This is the evolution. So we bought him a computer. We went to his house. I spent 2 days. Here's how you put your name on a PDF. Did not work. All right, fine. I'm going to do your reports, but I'm going to charge you for it. I have to do work now. Eventually, we hired this really smart girl to do that. Her name was Seni. I think she works at the police department doing autopsies now. She was a smart girl, and weird enough to want to do autopsies. So she would do reports. So I'd get home, and she would already be done with most of the reports. Reports started going out. So then our business started to develop a thing like, hey, I'm going to start promising people you get your report in 2 hours.
Oh, wow.
Because it's online. So the person's back at the office making sure that everything came through. And if something didn't, we can fix that. Checking people's work to make sure they did a good job. Making sure the insurance reports are filled out. I trained this person. They got the proper license to do it. And the education. And then we were just uploading them to our software. At the time was ISN. And it became a system. I mean, now I think our reports department has like 6 people in it making sure all the stuff gets done. Like it's grown. So through that time, we ran into every sort of hiccup and problem. And I mean, little things that develop the character of the company. Everything from the company parties to we do a Dundies holiday party. We do the Dundies. Oh, it's always, funny. We don't do the inappropriate like bushiest beaver. We don't do that. But, we do the whitest shoes and we do all sorts of funny stuff. And we play we have people put together a playlist of songs. So what is it? Our first one, we had our client care manager, who's she by the way is evolved with us from day one. She couldn't type on a computer, and now she's running a lot of stuff in our business. She's amazing. We had you used to call me on my cell phone, and then she would her word was answering the most calls this year, and all sorts of cool stuff. So we developed KPIs, which is always a problem, and we kept going to the mastermind meetings and asking questions and learning and. Are you doing that? Great, I'll give it a try. That didn't work. Are you doing that? Great, I'll give it a try. Hey, that worked great. Hey, I'm going to take that. I'm going to adjust that a little bit. And so our strengths became, pretty apparent over time. Sylvia is very much systems. I'm very much that marketing and ideas kind of person. And again, ridiculous and impossible ideas. But if I don't get to sleep because I'm too busy getting something done, that's who I am. I'll do what I got to do. I'm the bull in a china shop. You're not going to stop me. It's a lot of arguments between Sylvia, who is I need a system for this. And I'm just I'm just going to run out there and figure out where the football is coming from and catch it.
Yeah.
Not that I've ever played football in my life.
As you said, you shoot from the hip.
Right. That's what I do. And then I figure it out and train and repeatedly do something to get good at it, but I don't come out there with a plan. And Mitch became he became our business partner. So he was our 50-50 business partner, him and us. And he came out there with a ton of experience. I mean, this guy was general contractor and ran a bunch of businesses and, Nathan's hot dog stories and tons of stories like that. So between the experience, the systems, and, the clever ideas that can solve problems, the 3 of us together made a really good team. And as a result, we went to pull up the numbers again. Really don't have them perfectly memorized. I used to know them. So 2018, we did 2 million. 2019, we did 3.4. Again, I never hit these goals. I wanted 3.5. We did 3.4. So that was our 4th year. Our 5th year was 5.1 on inspections. That was 2020. 2021, I was so pissed. 7 million was the goal for inspection revenue. 6.9. Oh my God.
But if anything,
I don't think I've never hit a goal in my life.
But if anything, it pushes you to want it even more next time, right?
Yeah, I mean, so our 22 goal is going to be close to 12 million in inspection revenue. I mean, that's what it is. And we have other stuff now. We tried things. We tried getting insurance license, which was not worth it. We have pest control. We have a contracting company that helps service clients and make sure that they can, you run into problems when you're buying a house. So, hey, we got a guy that can help you solve that. Recommend this contracting company. But we own it. So we're able to control the quality. We're able to help them with a lot of things that they wouldn't get otherwise. And it's not a random person. We're able to control the quality. It's a separate company. It's not the inspector. I know a lot of people are oh, your inspector can't do that. Well, the inspectors aren't. It's a whole other company. They just happen to, I know that guy and I know that guy. I know the inspector. By the way, I haven't done inspections in years. Actually don't know how many inspections I've done, a couple thousand of them. But I don't do the repair work. I don't do the inspections. These totally separate companies. But we're able to control the quality and help our people and get paid for it. Why should I let this random electrician go in there who is out there to blame us for something that's not our fault, who throws us under the bus so that they can upcharge and, steal money from these clients. Let me get a professional who I know what he's doing. And I'm like, look, if you screw us, like, you don't get paid.
Yeah.
So like, let's make this a win-win for everybody. And, we own the company. So why should we not take advantage of this opportunity?
Yeah.
I'm not here to debate that. A lot of people will, but we followed the rules of the book and took care of people. And the pest control's been awesome too, especially since I don't like bugs. It's a story for another day about the inspections with the bugs, but still, it's yeah. So I mean, we're pretty much caught up. We got up from where we started to now. I mean, there's a lot of details that go in between. Everything from how I got out of the field, which I think is a good operation. And by the way, I got out of the field twice.
You right back in.
Right, I had to go back in. I mean, that's a good story for another one of these. The marketing systems and operations, the fact that our company runs EOS, which as soon as you start getting busy, like, you need a system of operation, and thinking that you're a genius and can figure it out yourself. I hate to break it to you, but you're not. EOS is already done for you, and it's free. So like, why fight it? Like, it's so easy. I mean, you read the EOS book.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's a life-changing. Yeah, it's up there. It makes your life so much easier, because how do we handle disputes? And listen, there's 3 of us that would, like, I'm going to say there was a couple times that we'd had bad days. And I think we could have been fighting each other without boxing. Like, we were close a couple times. And listen, I got to go home to one of those people. And, there was times where, like, she didn't talk to me for like a day. Like, I'm a steamroller. Like, I run in there and knock everything down. So yeah, she's pissed. I get it. I was absolutely at fault. I should not have done it that way. How we use the EOS system to, like, not kill each other anymore. How we delegated stuff, wearing multiple hats. So the cool thing is, you can wear as many hats as you want. You could be the car wash guy, you could be the marketing guy, you could be the guy that shines people's shoes, all good. But you can't be the shoe shine guy, and I can't be the shoe shine guy unless you're the left shoe shine and I'm the right shoe shine. But we can't shine the same shoe. We can't cut the same tree. We can't do the same work. So as soon as that happens, then it's, well, I'm going to go from left to right. Well, I'm going to go right to left. Then we're going to just run into each other. So how we manage that is a big deal. How we set the goals, like you were talking about. I always heard, if you aim for the sky, you might get there. But if you aim for the moon, you'll end up among the stars. Like, yeah. I can't tell you I have any of these sayings like perfect. But that's what I was like, just aim farther. Yeah. Or is it stars and then end up on the moon? I don't know what
something like that, but...
Something like that. But I was like, just aim ridiculous. Always like wild goals. And then, all right, well, how do we get there? And what do we need to do? And it's not looking at numbers. Oh man, if I do X, then I'm going to hit Y. And if I do Y, then I'm going to do Z. Like, no, I don't even look at the numbers until they're long past. I just know if I'm going to do that, I have to work this hard. I have to have these people in place. I have to have this system up and running. So I set goals of what system needs to be in operation that can handle that. How many of this has to get done to equate to that? I don't actually look at how many inspections get done on a daily basis. I don't even watch these numbers. I used to, but I realized I couldn't change anything. If there's 10 inspections or 70 inspections today, I can literally do nothing to change that number. Mm-hmm. What I can do is make sure that I have X people hired and trained to do the Y job. Like, that's what I can do. I can affect that. Yeah. Great. And I know that after Z time, I have, A inspections. So that's what I would always be working towards. People set the wrong goals. They're like, I need to make sure the phone rings 32 times today. Well, you can't control what the person on the other side, wants. And if you want that, I'll sign you up on a lot of websites and they'll just start calling you. No problem. But you can't affect that. I was always told it's like pushing at a string. It's not going to do it. You can't do anything with that.
Yeah.
So that's how I set goals. And I think that's a really good point. The SMART goals are fantastic. But people set the goals in a way of things that they can't control. And they get upset about it. I only got 10 inspections a day. Well, can you control if the phone rang one extra time? I mean, unless you're buying a house, you have zero control over that.
Yeah.
What you can control is the predecessor's number, which is how many people did I talk to today? And then after X amount of time, those amount of people will call. So people set goals of things they can't control. Our bonus system that we do for people, people are like, well, if we get X amount of inspections, we're going to credit back to the marketing rep. Why? How many houses is the marketing rep buying? They can't control these numbers. What they can't control is how many presentations they do, how many offices they visit, how many handshakes they do, how many emails they send. So that was one of the things I learned early on, is set goals and ideas of things that you can control.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, have you ever been frustrated at something that you can't control?
Oh, yeah.
You're right. Everybody does. Like, trust me, I do too. And I have to remind myself, I have no control over that. And one time, if I remember correctly, I think it was Sylvia, she was really upset about something. And our business partner, Mitch, said, well, if being upset makes this problem go away, then be upset more. It's like, okay. If being stressed about it makes it better, then be more stressed. The only thing that matters is action, and whatever the consequence we run into, which is, whatever the amount of inspections we did, is a result of the other things and choices we made. So just knowing how to set goals and systems and operations is awesome. I could have never gotten to where I am without Sylvia and even Mitch, with the systems and the knowledge in the back end. Splitting up tasks and jobs was a really good topic for us. The day I got into customer service, I'm sure all of our customers were happy, because, man, this one person called in and they were so upset. We didn't inspect a window in a garage, and I go back and I look at the garage and it's just covered in trash, people's stuff, and like, just, I don't know. A lot of people don't like keep an organized garage. It's fine, whatever. But it's just piles of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They're moving, they're getting everything ready, fine. So we didn't inspect the window. The window does not open, and apparently, I don't have a window in my garage. I don't spend enough time in my garage to want to have a window. It's hot and uncomfortable. So fine, maybe they wanted to open the window, but just open the big garage door. Well, they call and they're really upset. And again, I am not good at customer service. They're upset that their window doesn't work in their garage. By the way, is everything else in the house? Yeah, everything else in the house is absolutely perfect. Okay. I should have just sent them to the warranty and done that. But instead, I'm like, I'm going to solve this. Okay, well, it's not covered. Best news I can give you. It's not covered, not our fault, stuff's in the way. In the report, it says, can't get to it. Well, that's not good enough for them. And of course, as the customer side, I get it. They're upset. We got to do something. So they press me, and I end up saying, all right, well, if I divide the total number of things that I inspected and then leave the one thing that I didn't inspect, that equates to like $1.30. So I'm going to send you a check for $1.30.
Oh.
Obviously, not the best way of handling this call.
That's hilarious, though.
Hilarious, yes, not the best way to handle this call. So, then we exchanged some impolite words, and I hung up the phone. I had a real phone at that time. It was a VoIP phone. Sylvia and Mitch are sitting there staring at me like, what did we just see?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then Mitch turns to Sylvia and goes, should I call them back? And she goes, can you? I'm just like,
oh, wow.
And then I think we just hired a handyman to go out there and replace the window. The piece of glass was broken. So whatever it was, I think it was like a $30 fix. Like, not even a big deal.
That's so funny.
But, I'm going to be a jerk at that. It happens.
No, but
I try not to be a jerk, but I was.
This speaks to a point, something that I had written down that I wanted to get to in an episode in this educational series we're going to do. But we might as well speak to it now, because it's been a theme throughout your story, which is knowing yourself, to put yourself in the right situations. How, in this, so early on in this journey and moving forward, did you kind of figure out what your strengths were, who you are? I know that it's your nature to shoot from the hip and throw yourself in the fire. So is that just what you did? You just threw yourself in the fire and you're aware of yourself and you just try to learn?
I've definitely become more aware. I know where the holes in my personality are, and I've learned to get a little better with it. So I definitely have a lower emotional intelligence than Sylvia. So I would sit next to her and go, okay, we had a conversation. What just happened and what did I miss? And that's just, we would have, that's at the end of the day, all right, so you saw me talking to them, and she's like, well, his stance was like this, so he's not going to be a buyer, but that person was leaning in. They're interested. Really? Okay, I'm going to call them tomorrow. And that's how we would do it. So we would take and we learned really quickly, because she would talk to me and she'd ask me a question. Well, are you worried about this? And I was like, why would I be worried about that? She's like, well, didn't you see their face they made? Yeah, they made this face, which means they're going to buy, right? She's like, no, that's not a buying phase. I just never got it. I've worked real hard to be better at it. But I already know that I can increase my best abilities better than I can increase my worst abilities. I just need to increase my worst abilities to not shoot myself in the foot and get in a car accident. That's my goal. So I work hard on it, but I know that they can only increase so quickly. But I've definitely gotten better. My emotional intelligence is a lot higher nowadays than it used to be. And there's a lot of things we do to increase that. You know, we read a lot of books, the love languages books. We did the love languages quiz the other day for our date, and Sylvia and I talked for hours. And it brought up that other question we talked about earlier, which was, you know, does everything happen for a reason? And I'm a very firm believer that it does not. And then, you know, she does. Can you will something into existence by saying it? Well, she believes that she can. And I'm like, just tell me whatever it is. We talked about how we accept apologies. This was really cool. And just how we process information. So when I apologize, and when I get apologized to, I like to absorb the, okay, well, that happened. How are we going to deal with it next time? When Sylvia deals with it, she wants to hear that you're sorry for this. And, you know, if you're sorry for this, then that won't happen, or, you know, it'll be solved. So it's really cool how we process data, and we have these conversations. I mean, I won the lottery with Sylvia because, like, there was no other way that I would have gotten to this point in my life. And so her and I just constantly try to improve each other. Mm-hmm. And that's really it. And then, you know, I think when you're talking to somebody on a daily basis, like 24/7, we're together. She's not in this room right now, which is weird because that's like doesn't happen. But we're literally 24/7 together, which I know doesn't work for everyone, but for us it has, because that was day one. Day one, like, let's do this together, and like we never stopped. So it's been one of those things that you just, you know, you hit those potholes, and, you know, you say sorry, and, you know, shit doesn't work out, and then you're 30 grand in debt, and you know, and you learn what's going on over time, and you're gonna hit those holes. And then just think about, like, hey, what do I like doing? Ask those questions. You know, what do I not like doing? I don't like doing customer service. Can I do it? I can do it, but if I'm in a customer service position, I'm getting fired pretty quick.
Yeah.
Because even if I handle that first call good, the second call is going to be a little less. By that fourth call, I'm yelling back at them, and I'm going to start calling people to call and tell them how unhappy with them. I can't do it. But public speaking, I'm going to jump up on stage, and I've done it before with thousands, you know, I'm going to say there was like 1,000 people in that last audience, several hundred. You were at that one at the IEB, and you could just see how I treated. I'm like, to me, you know, if they learned something, I did something wrong, I'm here to entertain and have fun, because they're going to remember that. And at minimum, they're going to know I had a lot of fun with Shawn.
Yeah.
So you kind of get to know yourself. Some people don't, but if you're interested in learning yourself, ask questions. If you're not, people will tell you.
Yeah.
You'll hear things like, you're a jerk.
Oh, I'm sure. Plenty.
And that's usually where I'm like, all right, let me figure out what I did this time.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, sometimes I have no idea, and I'm like, look, you got to give me a hint. Like, what did I do?
Yeah.
Did it happen just now? Did I do it before? And some days you have bad days.
Yeah.
So you figure it out. You try it a couple times.
Well, speaking of asking questions to get better, as Shawn had led with at the beginning of this podcast, you have his phone number, you have his email, you have our socials, our social media. Please reach out. Let us know what you want to hear in this educational series to the audience. We're going to come back with some great episodes to touch on a lot of the things we talked about today. Just how to really start the foundation and grow your home inspection business from the point of view of Shawn, who's done it, who's rapidly growing, who has learned from a lot of mistakes he's made, learned from himself and iteration. And so in a lot of books, and I'm really excited to bring a lot of these principles to light and share them with our audience. So anything you want to hear about, please reach out to us, and we would be very excited to have it on the show as well. So Shawn, I am very excited. This was a fantastic intro so that everyone can get to know you and get to know where you're at and what your mindset is. And I'm very excited for the rest of the series.
Absolutely. Can they contact you and send you tons of questions so that we can figure out what we're going to talk about on the next one?
Absolutely.
I mean, I'll talk about anything. I'm good for that. And I don't have anything to hide. So whatever it is, even intimate, you know, the worst fight I've ever had with my wife and my other business partner, all good. Like I'll share anything. The best day we've ever had and success and what we're doing next, all good. You know, if anything, like if I can help you, you know, hit your goal, your dream, whatever, awesome. You know, I'm a company that went from 2015, you know, 30 grand in debt to my goal for inspections is 12 million this year, but my total company with the other things that we do is 16 million. So 2016 to 2022, that's 6 years, 0 to 16 million.
Wow.
That's my goal. If I hit anywhere close, it's pretty good, right?
So is that technically negative 30K to 16?
Yeah, negative, not even starting at zero. Negative 30,000 to 16 million in 6 years. Done. Like, that's the title.
Yeah.
That is actually a pretty good title.
That might be the title of this episode. I actually just wrote it down.
Yeah, you know what? That's a cool title. I like that. And it's an achievement, and I can say that and my wife finally joined me, which is awesome. I told you she's never far from me. We're always in the same room.
We've heard about Sylvia plenty this episode. If she wants.
Yeah, no, I have. I'm sure she'll listen to it. She listens to it all the time. I mean, this is normal. I just talk to her all day long. Well, anyways, is there anything else today, or we'll call it a day, and then we'll.
Hi, Sylvia. Shawn's been
we'll call it
arrived. So
absolutely.
We might have to get Sylvia in on a couple of these episodes as well, as you guys know yourself so well. I'm sure there are a couple of topics that we'll get into that we might have to bring her in to offer her expertise in.
Oh, absolutely. Anything to do with systems. She has this really cool one called Systems Equals Sanity. I mean, it's not my favorite topic because I have no idea what a system is most of the time. I just invent it as we go. But no, it's incredible. It's life-changing. And honestly, our life is better because of it. It talks about things like, EOS and how we've applied things and, not wearing the same hat. And, honestly, she came up with the idea that we should, write something down and not invent it every time we do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mind-blowing, right?
Oh, yeah. All right. So thank you so much, Shawn. This has been a fantastic episode, coming in at about over an hour. So if you are still here, you're obviously very interested in Shawn's new educational series on this podcast. So please reach out on Facebook, Instagram, DM us, and let us know what you want to hear in this series moving forward. And Shawn, thank you. Thank you again so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. See you later.
All right. Thank you to the audience, and we'll see you again next week.
Thanks for listening to the Inspection Pros Podcast. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and smash that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit the bell so you won't miss our next episode. This episode was produced by Jake Aronson. This has been a Pair Payments production.